Zlurpcast!
Five, not $5 footlongs, but there are 5 people here. We should investigate why there are 5 people here. Welcome to the Zlurpcast. I'm Jonny P in a different setting. This one won't last. Don't worry. Don't get excited. It's just freaking Journey and Eddie Money in the background. You're not missing anything. We've got Valdric here in the flannel, Xtreme in the, what is that shirt? Is that a big boy shirt?
Dusty Roads.
Oh, Dusty Rhodes. I thought it was the big boy guy for a second. We've got Biran in his Robotech shirt. New addition to the show today, Ryan in his Beelzebub shirt, because I can't fully read it. And he's here not just because he's our pal and he's our friend, but we're talking about Arkham Horror, the living card game today. And we wanted to bring on people who actually play this game. I don't play it. Xtreme doesn't play it. Mike, Biran, and Ryan do. So we want to get into everything about it. This is going to be the game itself. Living card games, is that even a good idea to get into? We're going to talk about all of that. Well, we're going to find out. Now, in this game, I don't know a lot. I haven't played it, but I've done enough so I can, research to play my part in this whole thing. And it appears to me, and correct me where I'm wrong, fellas, but I will tell you about 15 years ago, I'm at Gen Con. I see people playing the Arkham Horror board game. And it looked like the most fun anyone ever had. Now, I didn't see the setup process. I didn't see how long it took to set up. And I didn't see how long it took to find normal freaking people to play with. But glancing over, it looked like a blast. Never got into it myself. But the idea that Fantasy Flight has always done these Lovecraftian type games always seemed pretty cool. So tell me about the living card game version, why it's better or worse than the board game, and about living card games in general.
Well, I can't say if it's better or worse than the board game, because I've never played the board game. I'm just assuming it was, because I genuinely don't like board games. Then again, I usually don't like card games that much either, but here we are. It is a living card game, which means it's not like Magic the Gathering, which is a collectible card game. There are a set number of cards of which you can only have 2 of the same card in your deck. And there's no blind packs. You know what you're getting when you buy the core set and then expansions. You know what you're getting. The cards are shared throughout. And it is not as cost prohibitive as, say, Magic if you're obsessive. You could, in theory, get every card you need by spending less than your average college tuition.
Well, so when you get into this game, you need not only the core set, but they recommend 2 core sets.
It depends. If it's 2 players, 1 core set will do. If it's any more than 2, you're going to want 2. But they say get 2 no matter what, because there's some cards that are just good that there aren't enough of.
And then you got to get all the Investigator packs?
No, you don't. But those are, so you get your core game, which has the first 3 adventures in it, the first 3 chapters of the adventure. And then they have these things called cycles. Cycles start with an expansion box that's similar in size to the core box, which has 2 or 3 adventures. And then there's 6 packs that go along with that for the full cycle. When a new release happens, they release these, they call them deluxe expansions. Like I picked up the Dunwich Legacy. So it starts with the advanced pack that has, the scenario cards for your first 2 or 3 missions. It has 4 new investigators and and a bunch of cards that are unique to that set. And you could use those cards in any time you want throughout any mission you're playing. And then they have the scenario cards that are the missions that you go through. And then about a month later, if you're in the current cycle, they'll release a pack, which is just the next scenario with all the cards for that scenario in it. And they do that 6 times. And then they start over again with a brand new deluxe expansion followed by 6 more.
Could you skip those?
You can. That's best done in this. Like you could, if you're going to skip something, it's best to just skip the entire cycle and just pick a cycle that sounds interesting, because that'll give you, we played 2 scenarios Friday night, and it took us about 2.5 hours 3 hours.
Thereabouts.
Yeah. And some take longer than others, of course, but a single cycle will take you a long time to get through, especially if you're playing 4 players. Solo play, you could go through it much faster because you're the only one doing actions. But I would say find a cycle you like.
Is that for losers though?
Well, winners would get everything, of course.
No, losers play solo though.
Solo gaming is very sad.
It is sad, but I gotta say, this is one of the best games for it that I've found, as far as you get the full experience. It's obviously more fun to play with people, just because that's fun.
So let me ask you, and Ryan, if you wouldn't mind fielding this question, because you and I talked about playing the like the Game of Thrones living card game. That one, I wanted to get the best cards because I wanted to win. This is co-op. So do you really have to get sucked in to the whole living card game spiral, if you will, to enjoy this game?
I'm going to say no, you don't. If you're going to play casually, you don't need to get sucked into it. There's plenty of stuff just in the core box. And then if you get, the deluxe expansion or two, if you still want to play, the reality is most people are going to get the core box, play maybe the first thing, and then move on to everything else, because that's how all of us work. But yeah, I don't think you need to have a good time. You don't need everything. It's not like you're, it's not the normal arms race where you're competing against other people. But
you said move on. Do you mean move on to a different game or move on to expansion?
Move on to a different game. Just because the people are fickle and we have short attention spans. Yeah. And that was my original experience with the game, is that we bought it. I bought 2 core sets, and then my son and I played the first thing, and then it sat on a shelf for a while, and then I got rid of it. And then I got rid of it right before Brian said that he was interested in it, like literally an hour before.
Do you harbor any ill will towards him?
I don't, because now we've arranged a communal purchasing strategy going forward, where we're all just going to go in on stuff together, which is it was frustrating in the moment, but I think it's all going to work out just fine. But I harbor ill will for other purchasing decisions he's goaded me into.
Yeah, I could see that. Well, in case of a breakup, who gets the stuff?
Possession is 9/10, so probably me.
We'll never break up. We're together till the end.
That's what they all say. Says the guy.
To be fair, sometimes I convince Ryan to make purchases for games I'm not even interested in.
That's happened on multiple occasions.
That looks really cool. Gloomhaven, you should get it.
Gloomhaven wasn't the worst. The worst is $300 worth of Harry Potter stuff.
Oh,
that was bad.
Ooh.
Those wands aren't going to snap off.
Not at all.
I'd love to have Ryan on for a part 2 to regrets episode. Because we did.
Would I not be invited to that because he'd feel more free to speak?
Yeah, those are fun to talk about, things that we like buyer's remorse. But so far, this isn't it. Even though, Ryan, you are jumping in a second time into this game. Now, when it comes to actually playing, is everybody playing cooperative, or is there anyone playing bad guys?
No one plays bad guys. It's all AI driven.
Biran, are you a Roland guy?
I was when I first tried solo. But then Ryan's playing Roland Banks and I'm playing the Urchin. But in our lore, the Urchin owns a vast estate that is now burned to the ground. What's that?
You made it up?
No, I was lead investigator just because I was more familiar with the game. Someone has to be the lead investigator, and you're at the lead investigator's house.
Oh, okay.
Actually, it didn't burn down because we ran away in fear.
That's true. Yeah, we didn't burn it down.
As you play, have you been linking all of your adventures?
Yes. Well, we've only done 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we did carry over, and we're doing the 3rd one on Friday. And these guys have some upgrades to do. I've already upgraded my deck. Because everything is, there's no reason to ever be selfish in this game, like there is in some other co-op games where you get more experience or more loot. everyone shares the experience points. That's the only thing that really matters.
Okay.
And stuff does carry over because you have the option to burn that house down, and we didn't. So in the next mission, we started outside the house, and that's a problem. We started outside the house, and you actually get a bonus for starting outside the house that Mike availed himself of
Many
quite
times
a bit, where you can rest and you can get a. Was it you healed up one?
No, you get
a
one of the
resource.
actions you could do is draw a card or get a resource. Which is
that's what it
current.
was. Yeah.
But while we were outside the house, if you choose to draw a card, you got a free resource. So you basically got 2 actions out of 1, as long as you were on that location.
And also because we didn't kill the ghoul priest from the first one, he went in the deck, and when he spawns at the house.
And
So
then
that was
he chases Roland Banks specifically because he has the best combat ability.
Yeah, it was. I was running through the streets of was it Riverton?
Arkham.
It's Arkham.
Oh, was it Arkham? I was
Yep.
The neighborhood was Riverton. That's
Right.
it. Okay.
I heard Roland Banks is the cheese. That's why I brought it up.
He is a solid all-rounder because he has his lowest skill level is 3, which is pretty decent, which is a good base level, and he's got a 4 in combat.
So we actually Roland is actually he was mad. It's now his twin brother took over.
Roland the first went insane, and his twin brother was brought in and was able to search through his brother's insane belongings and grab all his stuff.
How is it as far as moving about, going to different locations? Is that just different cards you pull, or do you set up like an action?
So the setup begins each scenario, and this is kind of the setup can take a little while, like you mentioned about the board game possibly, but the setup is there's a card for each location. You start out in one, and then all the other locations are connected, but you have to match symbols. So like if you're in the attic, you can't go right to the basement. You have to go through the hallway first, and moving location to location costs an action. And those locations have to be matched. And they have little symbols to say you can go from here to here, here to here, but not here to here. And that takes an action. You always get 3 actions per turn. So you can move, draw a card, gain a resource, investigate, or attack, or move. And you could do any of those things as many times. So you can move 3 times, you can attack 3 times, you can investigate 3 times.
So it gives you total freedom to kind of do what you want.
Yes.
Okay.
But if you're engaged with an enemy, there's penalties for trying to investigate. Like it will automatically deal damage to you. An attack of opportunity for those in the D&D world is a common term. It gets a free attack on you.
Yeah. Tell me how the chaos tokens work. Is that for additional actions?
The chaos tokens replace dice in this game.
Okay.
So think of it this way: your character has stats of they have brain, which is your willpower, book, which is your smarts, fist, which is your fighting, and foot, which is your ability to evade. And those, like for Roland, everything's a 3 except his fight's a 4. So that's your base skill level to say 3. Then if you fight someone, they'll have a fight value, and let's say that fight value is 3, so you're even. So in the chaos token bag, there's +1 tokens, +0 tokens, -1 tokens, -2 tokens, an auto fail token, and a couple wildcard tokens, some that benefit you, some that are negative. So you basically take your 3 and you reach into the bag, and you probably result, you're like, oh, -2, so now I'm a 1, I lose the combat.
You have no control. It's random, and you have to do it.
You have to do it. There are ways to tweak it though. Like the urchin has the ability to spend a card, just discard a card from their hand, and redo the chaos tokens. There's also ways, so if your stat is a 3 in fight, there's cards and items, equipment like a handgun or a truncheon, or you can have an ally that boosts it as well. And that makes your 3 go up to a 4, 5, 6, or whatever. And then you could suffer a -2 and still win the combat. And there's also cards you could just waste and say, I'm going to spend this card that has a little icon that'll have like a fist on it. So that you exhaust that card and you're +1. So your 3 becomes a 4. So there's ways to manipulate your odds.
Okay.
But the chaos bag has a lot more negatives than positives in it.
Well, you said earlier, I don't know if that was in the show or not, but about removing the -2. Why would you get rid of that?
No chance of drawing a -2 on your, because you're the only one doing that. The monsters don't have to do that.
Oh, it's cheating.
Yes, it's absolutely cheating.
Okay, I just wanted to check and make sure that's what that was.
And there are some investigators, your character's called an investigator. There are some investigators that's their gimmick, is they cheat the bag. Like they fill the bag with bless tokens that count as +1s. Like they manipulate the odds of the bags for everybody.
How many investigators are there?
Well, in the base set, there's 4. And I think there's well over probably a dozen or 2 dozen at this point. Because each expansion deluxe edition has 4 more. And there's also, so when you buy the game, you get the base set. And we talked about the deluxe expansions and then the card packs that come with that expansion. There's also investigator packs, which have a new investigator in it with cards like for a starter deck, and then upgrade cards that you can do as you gain experience. And then there's standalone adventures that don't connect to any adventure, just a one-off adventure. And then there's the other thing that I've discovered is these novellas, little hardcover novellas, which normally I'd just be slightly interested in. But because of American capitalism, if you buy the novellas, you get unreleased cards, which have, they are alternate art cards, but they also have a couple alternate cards that you could use in their deck.
And you said it wasn't a collectible card game. You lying motherfucker.
Well, that's because I have mental issues that it's become a collectible card game.
So let me ask you, this game's been out for a while.
Yes.
You're jumping in now. How'd you get the old stuff? Isn't that hard to get?
They reprint it frequently, but it sells out frequently. So the first expansion is the one I got, the Dunwich Legacy. And I was able to get it through a combination of eBay, Amazon, and Fantasy and Miniature Market. It took all 3 sources.
Grognard Games, way to support them.
Well,
awesome.
I bought one. That's not true. I bought the base game and one of the expansions from Grognard Games,
which is we'll do a fact check with Todd.
Yep.
Fact check.
Yeah, I believe I did. I texted him a picture with hashtag Todd Cred on it. And now it's obviously still a continuing game. So I told Leif to go ahead and order a set of everything that comes out. So I will buy it.
So you've got like a pull list of sorts.
Yes. Yeah.
I like it. That's kind of the rub with living card games. I mean, I'm never one to stand in the way of having fun, but do you think that could be a hurdle to keep up with everything?
It could be, but I gotta think, to play a full cycle like we currently have, it's gonna take a long time. And by then there'll be another full cycle out. So the way because I didn't realize that, I thought this was just a fun card game, but it is a game where it's some people's main game, as I've quickly discovered. And the key is, so a cycle comes out and you can always get it when it's new because they print a whole bunch of it. Then it sells out. And the moment it sells out, the price spikes. So an expansion will be like $10 for the single card packs, and the deluxe expansion will be like $25. They'll go up in double price, triple price. But then you wait a little while and then they come down again.
Yeah.
Like I paid retail except for 2 items in this cycle, and it was only like $8 more than retail.
Okay. So let me ask Ryan, as someone who I will say that Ryan has both no games are his main game, but also all games are his main game at the same time. A Schrodinger's gaming catalog, if you will. They're all his favorite, but they're also all his most hated at the same time. Do you, Ryan, are you fearful of keeping up with this game while other games are trying to get into the gaming club? Is that going to cause a problem?
That's not a problem I ever have with anything. You know that. I'm perfectly capable of keeping up on any number of games that then don't really get played very often. So that doesn't bother me. It's, getting into Arkham Horror like in the middle of it is a little intimidating, just because there is a lot of it. But there's a lot of lists online that Biran's been consulting about, like, all right, these are the things that you should get and what order you should buy things in. So that stuff's helpful. But in terms of like actively keeping up, it's it's what, $15 a month for the pack, and it's like you get everything you need, and that's
and one pack for all 4 people playing.
Well, it's not as bad as like Marvel Crisis Protocol, where they release like 3 models a month, and we talked about this last week. You use all of them on any team, and it's like, right. I feel obligated. That's where it's like a problem for me, when it's like, well, I have a million things I need to feel like I need to keep up with. But yeah, well, $15 a month for 4 people that's no big shakes.
Yeah, I think the price probably wouldn't do it for any of us, but the idea of, I want to do other things, but I got this thing coming in. You know, like with Marvel, that's what you told me, but I still only buy characters I like. I have a feeling, and when it comes to miniature games, I don't buy everything. I buy what I want to buy. A card game, do you think the completist mentality kicks in more than a miniature game would, though?
Are you talking about me specifically, or just in general? Me specifically, yes. I want everything all the time. For everything I cast my gaze on, I want every single thing available for it.
You're different than him. You want everything and everything, no matter what. You want your cake. You want to eat it too. You want all of it. Xtreme has some of those same tendencies, but he is sometimes wise or foolish enough to not jump in. Biran, I believe you and I are more selective with things.
The difference with this is I can buy everything, even if I'm not playing. I'm like, oh, if I'm at Grogner, it's like, oh, the new one's coming out, I'll grab it. Whereas, let's say with Space Marines, I'd be like, I'm not going to buy everything, because then it sits on a shelf and not even built.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't stare at me in shame like, models do.
Yeah, cards are just it's a different animal, and I'm glad you guys are playing. I'm glad you guys are having fun with it, but it is a different mindset when it comes to sort of where it falls in the big picture. Because I know you want to jump into other miniature games, but I was just wondering, not price wise, but is it ever going to be, because there's always new stuff. It's not a bad, this is a good thing, because new stuff's always coming out. Is it always going to be top of mind?
Here's how dumb this game is for me. So for every cycle, they'll launch in the next cycle, but then a little bit after, they'll release the return to that cycle. Now this just has very few cards in it. It's like, play the same mission, but swap in these cards instead of those cards.
Okay.
But the box is the perfect size to hold the entire cycle.
Yeah, it's a good box.
It is a good box. So I bought this. I'm like, well, I don't know what I'm going to be doing for a while. And even this is like another, $15, $20. So yeah, whatever.
The nice thing about a game like this is it's, especially compared to like a miniatures game, is it feels a lot like it's lower stakes, where you don't have quite the investment, where you don't have to build it, you don't have to paint it or not paint it and then feel bad when Mike has all his stuff painted before anyone's played it. It's not hard to keep up with. It doesn't take up a lot of space, and it's totally fine to have it on the back burner while something else happens. And we're pretty good at multitasking with one-off stuff and stuff like that. So I don't, if this was like a competitive card game, that I think would be totally different.
Yeah, good point. The co-op side probably helps a lot of challenges that another card game would present.
It definitely takes the edge off.
What I enjoy is we did the first 2 missions and failed at both of them. We resigned. You're one of the options, depending on what phase you are in the mission, is resign. You run away in horror, and you get it, and then it has a specific ending if you do that, but you still get your experience points. So you still, sort of like how one of the things we liked about Frostgrave, whereas even if you get raffle stomped, you still get something out of it. You still get to level up some guys. So
I'm surprised you didn't play to the death. The whole party dies.
I want to see what happens next in the story.
Okay.
And even if the whole party died, be like, oh, they somehow got out. We're going to the next. We're not going to replay that until we
before the last investigator dies. You press the reset button.
Yep. Just yank the power out of the console.
I'm at the point in my life where like I'm not replaying something until I beat it. Like for something like this, I don't have any, because I think about, like, we were playing over the weekend, we were playing that Bloodborne board game. And that's a game where it's like, if you fail the thing, you start the campaign at the beginning, the first mission. But like, I think about Bloodborne, the video game, and that's not how I play Bloodborne, the video game. Bloodborne, the video game, I grind out and grind out and grind out until I'm way overpowered for whatever I'm fighting. And I'm like, well, I'm just going to play the board game the same way.
Right. Hey, there's no wrong. You're having fun. That's all that matters.
And this is America. If I don't want to start a campaign from the beginning again, I'm not going to.
Yeah. Listen, you've already said, I'm a nerd. I'm playing these games. So that alone is already, if that's not American, to just basically say, you know what? I'll do whatever I want. I'll play it how I want, do it how I want, collect how I want. I want to ask Mike. Mike, you're not traditionally a card game kind of guy, but you've jumped into this. What's been your take on this one?
It's fun. It's different. And like they said, you can jump right in. There's no, aside from, having to learn how to play the game, there's no prep. There's no, I got to assemble all this and base it and all that. You can just jump right in. So I was a little surprised the characters were a little different than the standard Fantasy Flight character list, but that was fine.
How so?
Well, like Arkham Horror, Eldritch Horror, and the Elder Sign game all have a common group of characters, and this one has completely different ones.
Oh, I didn't realize they carried over the same.
Yeah,
I thought you just meant like, classes of. So
there's no Roland Banks in the other ones.
Not that I know of.
Although,
is there an Ashcan Pete? Was that a character?
Yes.
Yeah, because that's in Eldritch Horror. That one I recognize. So there's, I assume there's some.
Ashcan Pete comes with a dog companion.
Yeah.
Is part of the same timeline, or is it after or something? Or
I think it's all this. It's all Prohibition era.
Yeah, it's all the 20s Cthulhu.
Okay.
But here's the thing: I like the idea of H.P. Lovecraft stuff more than actually reading his stuff, which is painful to read. Not because of the racism.
No, but it's a setting. That's
right.
All it is.
The setting. I enjoy the setting. That's like these novellas are like that, but still written in current vernacular, so it's not like hard to read.
Yeah.
And same with they do a really good job with the descriptions, because basically the basic setup of the game is you set your location, and then there's an agenda deck, which is usually 1 to 4 cards, and an act deck, like acts in a play. And your goal as investigators is to advance the act deck to get to the next part of the story. So it's like you must find 2 clues for each investigator to go to the next act. And the bad guys on their turn get to add doom to the agenda deck. And once that gets full, the agenda advances and more bad things happen. But like the art in the cards and the writing on the cards is just really well done. They spent money on it.
Yeah.
And the theming is really, really good.
Is this oh, sorry, go ahead, Ryan.
I was just gonna jump on the art on the cards is really, really good. It is, I think, probably definitely in terms of theme, and theme is something that Fantasy Flight generally does well. I think it is the best themed art that they have in any of their titles. Like the iconography is great, the card borders are great, all the little glyphs that they put around things are great. It's really, really well done.
I do like that there's basically only 4 tokens. There's assets, there's clues, and those double as doom. Doom and clues are the same, just flip. Horror, which is your damage that if you take all your horror up, you become insane, and regular wounds. So 4 total tokens. So it's not super token heavy.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, the board game, again, I never played, but I always thought it looked cool, but a little too much with the setup and all that stuff. So I'm happy to see that there's a fun thematic card game. Now, I know Fantasy Flight loves their IPs. Is this like public domain now, Lovecraft stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's always been public domain.
Okay, I didn't realize it was. So they just happen to latch onto it, and because they've been doing this game for.
They have so many Lovecraftian games; it's obscene.
Yeah, but when I think about it, I always immediately think of Fantasy Flight because of how popular the board game was. So I guess
this game plays similar to the Lord of the Rings living card game that is still getting new stuff released for it.
Is that next for your group here on?
Oh. No, I don't think I need to get into 2 games that are similar like this. But I guess
the Lord of the Rings card game's a lot more fiddly.
Yeah,
it's like you know, you think of like that era of Fantasy Flight, where everything was like a bit more fiddly than it needed to be. And that's totally what the Lord of the Rings is. Like,
That
if you're
makes sense
into
'cause
it,
this came
it's
out
into
later,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, but this is like that, like cranked up to 11.
Oh, something's going wrong on the radio station.
Yeah.
All right, I just I had add REO Speedwagon roll with the changes. Had to add that in there to get us to 5 o'clock for my big live segment, which is not live. It's live music, but I am not doing it live.
Pre-recorded.
Yeah, live on tape.
So the other mechanic that's key to this game is the RPG mechanic, which is you're leveling up your investigator. So when you start with your investigator, each investigator has a special item card. Like I think Roland Banks has his pistol. That is, and there's one per deck. And then they have a weakness card, a specific weakness card that if you draw, you have to resolve right away. For instance, for Roland Banks, he's got a weakness is cover up for some old past misdeeds as an investigator there's negatives when you play that. If you don't resolve it, there's negatives to your campaign. And then there's a basic weakness you throw in there. I'm going to give away a hint. I didn't put any basic weaknesses in our decks because screw that. This game's hard enough.
Yeah, I noticed that when I was going through my deck after we leveled up. I'm like, I only have one weakness. I'm supposed to have two.
Yes.
Wait, Biran, why are you being games master in this?
Because I played enough solo. I'm like, I drew 2 weaknesses in a row in one of my solo games, and I'm like, F this.
And you guys also haven't won yet, so you want to make it as easy as possible.
Well, yeah, that's why I'm going to remove the -2s from our deck, from the chaos bag. So each you basically have assets that stay in play. You have events that are like one-off deals, and you can hold like one item in each hand, and then you have a necklace slot, and you have a companion you can have, and this and that. And then each card has an experience level on it. So you start with 0 experience cards. So they're the weakest version of cards. Like a flashlight helps you get clues and things like that. And then each time you get experience points after a scenario, say you get 6 experience points, you can buy 1 level 6 card, 1 level 5, and a level 1, whatever you need. And you take those lower cards out and swap them with the higher level cards.
Okay.
And sometimes there's direct examples of like, this flashlight is a level 2 flashlight. So in addition to helping with clues, it lets you draw more cards and stuff like that. So
is it always
changing your deck throughout?
Is it always items or is it abilities too?
Abilities, spells, items, one-time events. Like, look what I found was our favorite because like, boom, look what I found, extra clue.
Yeah.
So the upgraded one would be, look what I found, find 2 clues, or find a clue, draw a card.
Okay.
So as your guy gets more powerful as you go on, so in theory, so does the scenarios. But obviously, high-end players knew how to break that. Once they get their card to a certain point, they can just go through everything.
Can you have mixed parties of not race, Biran? I know you got excited for a second to hit a few bullet points there. But level 2, everyone is level 4. Are the monsters going to be at level 4?
No. You don't gain levels. It just indicates that you have more higher powered cards in your hand. Your investigator doesn't specifically level.
But if you've got a really good version of Roland's pistol, is that too good for a certain
No, because
scenario?
you're only going to draw it once, and you might not draw it in a game. So it's still randomized.
You don't get to start with stuff.
Right. Unless it specifically says Ashcan Pete starts with his dog in play because his dog's always with him. Some people do start with their stuff in play.
What's his name?
Ashcan Pete.
That sounds like a nickname you gave somebody at Grognard.
Yeah. Yes. He's a hobo.
Right.
And there are classes in the game. There's Guardian, which our favorite Roland Banks is your fighter and defender guy. You have Rogue, which is your sneaky guy. There's a spellcaster, which is a mystic. Something else, which is arcane lore guy. And basically each class, if you look on their card, it'll say you can have any of these blue cards, 1 to 5 in your hand, but you can only have 1 to 2 level rogue cards. So there's deck building even in the initial set, where you can mix and match the colors that you're best at as well as neutral cards.
Okay. How big is the deck building tech side of it all?
For some people, it's the majority of the game because that's your character. Your character is your deck. Okay. But for instance, after our first scenario, would we get like 4 experience points, I think? So we swapped out 1 to 2 cards each. But after our second one, we got 6. So that's a lot more thinking going on. So, you sort your, like, hey, Mike, here's all those survivor cards. Those are the red cards. And here's all the neutral cards. Pick from there. It doesn't take long, though, to figure out, I want to swap out. This looks cool. This looks cool. Ooh, a chainsaw. That's going in.
Is there a limit to how big the deck could be?
It's always 30 cards, plus there's special scenarios that'll say, does not count against your card limit. So your card limit max is 30, but it doesn't count your weaknesses or your key item for your character.
So if you added the chainsaw in there, what do you have to take away?
I took away a knife because chainsaw is better than a knife.
So another hand weapon, basically.
Yeah, but you could swap out anything.
Okay.
Like, say, you got to be careful because chainsaw uses both hand slots. So you can't have anything in your hands but the chainsaw.
After our first game, when my character went mad and I was going through the cards for his twin brother, I was looking for cards that would help me regain the sanity points because Roland has 5 and it's a very low number when dudes are doing 2 sanity damage to you. So that was like my immediate thing was like, all right, my pain point was that my guy went mad because he has such a low stat. So how can I shore that up? Hindsight, that was probably not smart, but I should have just focused on the things he's good at, which is, beating on people with a gun. But but that was how I made that initial decision.
Yeah, it looks like there's a pretty big difference with how each investigator plays. Is that fair? Yeah.
Because in addition to the cards they can pick from, they each have a core ability. The core ability of Roland Banks is if he kills an enemy in a room that has clues, he gets a free clue. So killing an enemy gives him a clue.
Okay.
So his important thing is, I don't want to be attacking stuff unless I'm in a room with clues in it. And there's a wild card chit in the chaos bag for him. It's the elder sign. If you draw that, you get your special ability. And his is +1 to a test for every clue in the room. So we had some tests where he was like +6 or craziness.
Yeah. When we were playing, because sometimes you have to spawn a monster on any empty area, and we would always spawn them on the ones that had clues, so I could go
kill it and get the clue.
Kill it and get the clue.
Yeah. Do the clues, are they like, does each one reveal something, or are you gathering?
No, you're just gathering like points, and then you cash them in to advance the act.
Okay.
But also there's some negative things that can come up that will cause you to lose a clue.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do you ever tell somebody get a clue when that happens?
Yes.
I think that would be hilarious. Xtreme, what's your take on all this bullshit?
I mean, it sounds fun. I don't think this is the kind of game that I would get into, but if you guys were playing it and you said, hey, do you want to come play this? I would be down for it.
You have to play the urchin, though.
Okay.
She's good.
I mean, that's kind of a LARP anyway for him.
I think you'd probably like this game just as solo play because it's quite fun in solo. It also helps you when you play with your friends. Like, let's not do that yet.
So, Biran, how many games you've played 2 with the group? How many have you played solo?
I played 2 with the group. I played 2 with Vanessa, and I played 3 or 4 solo.
Okay. So you
better?
kind of scouted.
Well, Vanessa, I did better, but we were cheating even more than I was cheating with you guys.
Oh, okay, that's good.
Not on purpose. It was ignorant cheating.
Do you play with more investigators or just less stuff?
More investigators does not make it easier in the slightest.
Oh,
it makes it harder.
Yeah, it does.
Because
everything scales.
Everything scales up. So let's say you need 2 clues to advance to the next part of the story. Well, it's 2 clues per investigator. So now you need 4.
Oh.
And the big bad enemy has, say, 5 hit points, but it's 5 hit points per investigator. So we're fighting it with 15 hit points.
Wow.
And the only one who could really do a lot of damage was Ryan's character, Roland Banks.
Wow.
But we were cheating against ourselves as well, because the big bad monster has a retaliate ability. So when you attack the monster in normal sessions, they don't get to fight back till their turn. Retaliate lets them fight back when you attack them. So it was very dangerous, but then I read more rules, and it only attacks you back if you miss. But since we were fighting such a beast, we were throwing everything we had at it, so we rarely missed.
Is that how the phases are? Yeah, I know you have like the Mythos phase.
Yeah, the
Then you
Mythos
have-
phase, which you skip on the first turn. Investigator phase, that's when you do all your actions, gather clues, fight enemies. The enemy phase, that's when they can move, engage, and attack. And then it goes, and then that's the upkeep phase where you draw a card, get a resource, untap everything. And then the Mythos phase, and that's you advance the Doom, they get 1 Doom on their agenda. And each player draws from the encounter deck, which is almost always bad. At best, it's neutral. At worst, it's very bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
And with more
So-
investigators, there's 3 more chances for that.
So when you're scaling up with everything, I guess the one advantage is if you're playing at Grognard, that's an easy way to say no, you can't play with us.
It makes it too hard.
Right. No, if Taco Bill comes by, can I get in, bros? You said we'd love to have you, but you're going to ruin it.
Well,
You know,
now
too-
we would pull what the whole scam of Gaming Goat is. I'm sorry, but this is only for owners. You have to invest in the game and be part of the ownership to play.
Oh, do you guys have membership cards? Or
We should.
You should get membership cards.
maybe I think a lanyard would be good.
Yeah. Sorry, do you have one of these? No, I didn't think so.
We could rope it off. You have to show your lanyard to cast
So-
the rope.
At this point, if you find like the coolest person that you want to join your club, is it too late for them?
Well, we're gonna have Hoagie play this week, so we're gonna up to 4. So we're probably gonna get curb stomped.
Okay, make sure he gets a lanyard.
He does. He gets special dispensation because he's British.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, so have him read all the flavor text then.
That's
Oh,
right.
we should. That's a great idea. Hoagie, if you're
Oh, no,
watching
that's
this,
all
you're
we'll
going
let
to
him
be
do, though.
reading all the flavor text so we can
Yeah,
listen
you
to
gotta
it in
read
your
Oh, he'd be
accent.
like, okay, what do I do to play? I go, you just read the flavor text. You don't actually get to play.
So let me ask you, as a card game with, I mean, it's not a ton of cards. Are you sleeving in this one?
I'm sleeving the player cards and the encounter cards as I come across them.
And
then-
what else are you doing to the tokens?
Oh, I got the coin
Oh,
covers for
you
the token.
dork.
Yeah.
You're a dork.
I know Mike was a little surprised when he reached into my sack and felt that.
Because did you think Mike was trying to feel the texture?
Yeah.
said,
cheat.
I'm gonna put him in coin holders because I don't want you to feel, because I like if you punched him out in your tokens, he's like, oh, I know the nubs on this side.
Yep.
Yeah.
But instead, I'll put little scratches on the ones that are auto fail. I don't want that one.
How long? You take a bet. How long until Biran orders the fancy Team Covenant tokens for the game?
Ooh.
Man, are they expensive?
I think he can't control himself.
He's gonna get those. It's gonna happen.
I do have the bespoke game mats. Now I got to get 2 more.
The game mats, they give places for where things go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one that's from Fantasy Flight is for the whole play area. So, but that one's sold out most places. So I got to keep looking for that one.
And the ones you're getting are smaller for each character. Or?
Yeah, it's a standard like card
It's like a magic mat.
magic mat.
Oh, okay.
But it's got
okay.
like put your investigator here and your clues, wounds, sanity, resources.
Okay, nice. I think, I mean, it sounds pretty cool. Like is this your group's sort of first full jump into a living card game as a whole?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
I think
as a crew, yeah.
Is it a trend or is this a one-off?
Well, here's how it started. It started with me buying Marvel Champions at Grognard Games because he had that 30% off all box games or whatever. And I was looking at that and I'm like, these cards look neat. And I was watching tutorial videos on it. And then one said, this game's cool, but you should just get Elder or Arkham Horror because it's way better.
Hmm,
So that's how that happened.
yeah. I watched a video earlier and the guy was talking about what to buy, what not to buy. And it was almost a discouraging kind of video. And he made it feel like you're too late, don't bother, which is kind of bullshit because you guys are, I mean, how long has this game been out for? Long time, right?
Couple of
3 or 4 years at least.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought it was actually a little longer. It's 4 years, but still, I mean, you jumped in, you found what you wanted to. You're playing through the core game only right now anyway, right?
Well, but some of our upgrade cards are from the expansion.
Oh, okay, you added a few in.
Mhm.
I mean, this is a game where I think if you've got, you know, I mean, obviously you're playing with other people, but it's only as discouraging if you let it be from that standpoint. You don't, you know, that was my point earlier, was some people are a little afraid to jump into a living card game when they watch videos like I watched. I guess.
Yeah. Well, when you see the guys like, here's the best way to build this deck, and like 90% of the cards, I'm like, I don't have any of those.
Right. That's what he was doing. He was saying you got to get this, this, and this in order to make this deck. And it's like, dude, I just want to play.
Yeah. If you want to optimize, yes, you do that. But also, you could literally get everything for this game and not be in the poorhouse, you know? It is achievable to own everything in this game.
You mean all the expansions?
Yeah. Because like I said, I bought the very first set of expansions and I paid over retail for 2 out of 7 of them, and only about $20 total over retail. And they reprint the stuff. It comes back into stock periodically.
Yeah. You know what? I guess I didn't think about, you know, I think about when something's gone. And
yeah, it's not a dead game. They're still making content for it.
If you had every card in the game, $1,000 or less?
Yeah.
Less.
Oh, yeah,
Less? Okay.
But like you said, it comes back in stock, unlike like Shadespire, which when it's gone, and then you're paying big bucks.
Yeah. Or find fun people to play with.
So there's a new one coming out relatively soon. I'm going to just say, hey, save it for us.
I think that came out already.
Yeah, but he's going to get. It was still on pre-order at Miniature Market, I think.
Okay, because he had something come in for you.
He did. He sent it to me, and it wasn't it. It was the Dunwich Legacy, which I already have.
Okay.
Because it came back into print.
Gotcha.
Does this one work? So I obviously haven't played this, but I mentioned earlier about playing the Game of Thrones one. When the packs used to come out, not packs, but whatever, the boxes of you knew what you were getting, but they gave you 3 of every card. Do they do something like that here?
They give you multiples, but not always, because you can only have 2 of a card in your deck.
Okay.
And I don't know if they give you 3 of everything or whatever, and there's also some that get reprinted and re-released, like common cards that you might want multiples of.
Okay. I mean, I guess maybe is it made to divvy up, like you guys have this collective?
The only thing you definitely want multiples of is the core, because even just with us 3, we were running low on tokens.
Oh, so from a component standpoint, you want 2 base.
And it says right in the box, it's for 1 to 2 players.
Okay.
But if you want to make the ultimate deck and make 4 of the ultimate deck, yeah, you might have to buy some extra stuff. But
yeah,
we're not.
And what's the core game go for?
Like $30. $30.
30,
oh,
yeah.
That's it. Oh, okay. That's
Yeah,
not.
so
That's not bad.
That's because you have to buy 2 of them.
Yeah. So it's 60. But Mike, of course, already owned one.
Yeah.
Of course he did.
It's probably still in the shrink, right?
All we did was save it from the Chaos Cup auction.
That's all we did.
Mike's inventory is 2 things. It's either shrunk wrap or open, and that's based on if you got it from a store or from one of us. Because we open them, and then eventually goes to Mike. I'm never going to give I'm not going to give something away without the enjoyment of cracking it open.
Well, I enjoy the barter system with Mike, where it's like, I'm giving you this for future considerations. Like when you trade a MLB player.
Right. It's kind of like, I think at Uncle Bill's is going to buy me 3 sandwiches in the next 2 months. So, all right. Well, it sounds like, I mean, the fact that you've played a couple times already, have you noticed? I mean, I know you're enjoying it, but you guys generally do like a pros and cons. Anything that you're kind of noticing that is not really something you are a fan of in the game?
The token drawing gets a little annoying. I know for me personally, I think a D20 with symbols on it might work just as well, but the token
order is strange too, because it's like sometimes we'd forget to draw our resource, because it's like you're doing it at the end of the round, not at the beginning.
I actually don't have a problem with the token bag. I think I think combined with all the different ways that you can boost your given stat that you're testing against, the token bag is probably more satisfying than rolling a die
No,
then
are
maybe
you talking about
consulting
that,
a-
Mike, or about tracking your resources and stuff?
No, just drawing out of the bag.
Oh, yeah,
But I
agree.
see how you can also, at a certain scenario, like you said, maybe add 2 more. You can modify the scenario by adding a couple more of these tokens, taking out one of these, and
Yeah,
So,
actually, that's a good.
as
I
opposed
wish
to
that
five
was
or
part
six.
of it. I
Yeah.
wish that was something you could do, is modify, like over time, over the duration of a campaign, maybe
Yeah,
modify the token bag.
like you were
somewhat.
so successful in this, you get to add a +1 token permanently to your chaos bag.
Full house rule that.
Yeah,
I like drawing tokens, and I think it's an underused mechanic in a lot of games.
Yep.
That I think it's fun to have that. I don't know what I'm going to get. You can add things to change the to vary it up a bit. I like it. Like, Star Wars Legion has it,
Yep.
to an extent. I've been flipping them over though, but it's, essentially it's,
Yeah,
I like it.
it's something I wasn't used to, but again, I know Bolt Action does it. Star Breach, which we're gonna delve into soon, that's got it. So it was just kind of new, but
Judge Dredd does it. Bat.
Who's in
that's right.
charge
Judge
of the,
Dredd
Yeah.
does it too.
Judge Dredd, Batman does.
Who's in charge of the sack?
Brian.
I bought the sack for Judge Dredd, and now it's serving as Arkham Horror sack.
Does that take you out of the setting at all when you see that Judge Dredd logo on it?
No, it's not. It's green, so it kind of fits.
Oh, okay.
I just
didn't
bought
know.
a random one at Grognard's when we were there.
Okay, so you did support your store in some, like that's keeping Todd afloat, probably.
Yeah, he's barely getting by.
Yeah.
He was gonna have to close up shop, but then he saw that ching when I bought the bag. Went, oh, thank goodness.
Is it true
Giuseppe
that
can
Todd,
eat today.
that Todd created COVID to make more money?
I think he's in on it. I think he and Bezos
Yeah.
are hanging out
And
at the Sox game.
Bezos. They're hanging out together. I can see that. They seem like they'd be old pals, old drinking buddies.
He
if you
does
will.
sell some bespoke masks as well, so I think we know why he's hesitant to lift mask restrictions.
Oh yeah, that's another stream of revenue he doesn't want to let go.
That's right.
He's a small business owner. Can you fault him for that?
I like
Got to
it.
hustle as hard as he can.
Or at least make Leif hustle as hard as he can.
Yeah.
Yeah, he. I mean, somebody will hustle.
Yeah.
there. It's not. He hasn't taken on the hustle, but
So
somebody
for
will.
hustle level, we go Leif, and then probably Giuseppe, then Andrew, then Todd, then Howie.
Yeah, then Howie.
What about Adrian?
Adrian's probably between Leif and Giuseppe.
Okay.
Yeah, Adrian does the magic hustle, which is
Yeah.
So, as Adrian being a Magic fan and all that stuff going on, and I guess Magic's coming back soon, right?
Yep.
People that like those games, would they like a game like this?
I don't think
No.
so.
no.
Why?
This game's about telling a story more than anything else. No one gives a shit about the story in Magic.
Yeah, and it's magic.
the story is
This is
I forfeit at the
Yeah.
end.
No,
That is
Magic is one of those games where, like, if you play Magic, that's the only game you play most of the time.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, you're-
that's it. It's more a lifestyle than it is a game.
I would say that's a great point. I would say people say I like card games, but do you though? Because this is a card game that has a story. In a sense, I treat this more like a board game where everything's on cards.
Yeah.
I mean,
That is
that's
exactly
more-
what it is.
Yes.
That's more what it is, not a card game per se. I think a Magic player is more only Magic than a 40K player is only 40K.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So these games they definitely satisfy a lot of itches because it gets you the theme you want. In this case, not like I said, I would like to try the board game version of this because it looked cool, but man, I bet it was miserable to set up.
Well, this one, it's interesting because the longest part of the setup is building the encounter deck because each thing will say, grab these cards, and the cards are shared so it's like, oh, I'm grabbing the rat deck from this expansion into this one to build the encounter deck. So that takes a little time.
Do you have that already ready to go though? For the
You
game?
can, I did for the first one, but I couldn't build 2 scenarios in a row because I had to use some of the cards from the first scenario into the second scenario.
Okay, so you can kind of have a little bit of a setup done to make it
Yes.
a quick first game.
Yes.
Okay.
So having played I haven't played the most recent version of Arkham Horror, which I understand has streamlined the misery of setting that game up.
Yeah.
But so I don't know how close the rules are, but this, I think the card game version of it is basically what I wanted the board game version to be.
Okay.
And then some, because the theme is great. The board game is, again, it's that Fantasy Flight fiddliness that they've only recently gotten away from. But the theme is great. It's fun to go back and forth with your friends and cruise to different locations. But this game does that, and it takes up less space. The mechanics move a lot more smoothly. It plays way faster. But on top of all of that, I really do like the character progression that persists from game to game, and the original one does not have that.
Oh, no.
Like you feel more invested, and it's just fun to see your character like have a better gun or a chainsaw instead of a knife. There's a lot of satisfaction in that you just don't get from the other one, where it's just like in the original one, each game can play out differently, just the way it works, but it's still sort of a static experience where things are going to happen every single time.
Yeah, I guess by nature of cards, it gives you the opportunity to do way more with it, way more opportunities to expand beyond one game. And I guess, the board game is probably fun, but it is going to always have a one-off feel, I guess.
Yeah, this is basically what I wanted the board game to be.
Okay.
It is, and again, you're doing the exact same stuff for the most part. You're cruising from location to location.
Yeah.
You're investigating and picking up clues. You're fighting monsters. You're trying to sort of game the system to stay ahead of the counter or the timer. But it does it way faster and way more smoothly.
And we got into that fun kind of end game scenario where it's like, we have one more turn to kill this guy. Can we do it? And you start doing the math.
Right. And then you kind of have to almost have nobody can do anything stupid. No wasted actions, Mike, what character were you playing?
I was playing Stella, the mail carrier.
Stella!
Yeah, exactly.
And I appreciate the diversity in casting.
Yes.
A lot of females, right?
Well, Stella is a person of color as well.
Yes.
Oh, okay. You didn't say that. How would I know? In fact,
and it's themed like one of her power-up cards is neither rain nor snow nor dark of night.
Yeah.
So it's themed to being a letter carrier.
That sounds like a perfect movie opportunity, like a straight-to-video on-demand movie. But it sounds like a great opportunity there.
The mail office versus with the evil horrors of the elder gods.
Yeah, I think the average post office could take out most bad guys with what they're capable of.
Just logistics-wise, they would overwhelm them.
Oh yeah, logistics, but also just the level of hate and anger that when people say going postal, that came from somewhere.
They're like, all right, Cthulhu, but you got to go wait in line to mail something.
Can I use the self-service? Nope, it's out of order.
Yeah.
Then Cthulhu gets to the front of the line and realizes he didn't write the address on the outside of his package, and they made him go to the back of the line to do it.
And then they get him for not wearing a mask too.
Yeah. Go back to your car, Cthulhu. Go get your mask.
Sorry, got to wear a mask.
No, your neckerchief isn't enough. It has to be an N95 for each tentacle.
Is this something that's you guys played a few games together, Biran, you bounce back and forth. Can someone jump in with a character? Like if I were to go in and buy an Investigator pack off the wall, can I play?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would recommend putting a few upgrades in there. For instance, Hoagie's going to play with us. So I had a deck it was one of the starter decks. It's Andrew Cho, the boxer. And I just upgraded a few of his cards to give him about the same level of experience we have. So he doesn't feel like he's behind.
Yeah, because that would have been very difficult for him to keep up. You think?
Probably not because we have 8 experience total, so not terribly difficult.
Oh, you're not very far anyway.
No.
No.
But if we had all of our cards were level 3 and above, it'd feel a little behind. But then again, you just say that's the cool thing about the Investigator. I just ordered another one, so my third. Is they include all the level 0 cards you need to start a deck, and then it includes a bunch of like thematic upgrades for those cards included in it. So it's not just a 30-card deck; it's 30 cards plus a whole bunch of upgrades that your guy can use in addition to the ones in the basic set.
Generic ones in there that anyone can use too, or no?
Yeah. Yes. There's only each character usually has one item that only they can use.
Oh, so I mean, I don't know what the price is on those, but it behooves you to buy as many of those as you can, I guess.
Yeah. And
there are classes, there are class specific cards that anyone in that class can use, and then there's neutral cards that any character can use.
And some characters can use all the levels of a red card, and then levels 1 through 3 of yellow cards.
Okay.
Like multi-class. But I think all the standalone Investigator decks are single color. So they can only use their color and neutral.
Okay. But like you said, there's neutrals that come in those packs that you're going to want to get. Just for, even if you have all your characters, you've played 20 games with them, you might grab a new Investigator pack to grab some of that neutral gear.
Yeah. Or even that color, because they have some unique cards. Like the Andrew Cho boxer guy has his boxing gloves that are really, really good, but there's only one in the deck. But then he has just regular boxing gloves that you put in anyone's deck.
Only one glove?
No, it's a set, so it takes up both hands.
I thought it'd be great if they give you one glove.
One glove and a gun.
Well,
Boxing glove and a gun would be cool.
Or the other glove comes out next year.
Yeah. They call that the drummer set from Def Leppard.
Yeah. There you go. No spoilers. Not everybody's seen a video.
Oh, okay.
If you only know the music, you wouldn't know. Ryan, can you tell the difference between a one-armed drummer and two-armed?
Yes.
Oh, well, you're different.
I can because he's going like this.
Yeah, but you wouldn't know that.
Oh.
Ryan knows. He knows what to listen for.
He'd either be like just like a really bad, boring drummer, which, you know what, is possible. It's possible that he's just really boring to listen to.
I think he's got an insane like foot pedal setup and electric drums, right?
But are you saying he may have lost his arm on purpose to give him a thing?
I mean, I would doubt it, but I guess, you know what, it's possible.
As in, you know, with two arms, I was mediocre. With one, I am a success story.
Yeah. They're not going to kick me out of the band. How heartless would that be?
Yeah.
And people are like, oh, he's really good for only having one arm.
Yeah. That's a good point. I'm not asking you guys to do the same, but something to consider one day.
Just, you know, the bar just lowered down and he just kind of stepped over it.
Yeah.
He was like maybe in the top 2,000 drummers of two arms, but he's in the top 5 for one arms.
Yeah. Close to one, probably.
Yeah.
Close to one. Xtreme, anything you are curious about this game? I want to get your take because you've got some hot takes when it comes to games, especially card games. Every now and then you say, I'm going to get into this. And then you'll go dark on cards for like 2 years. And then you'll be like, Transformers? And then you'll like jump in with something. So what's kind of your take on all this?
It sounds really interesting. It almost sounds, you said or somebody said it was like a board game played with cards instead, but it almost feels like there's so many role-playing elements to it that it's almost like a role-playing adventure through a card deck.
It's like a dungeon crawl. It's like a persistent dungeon crawl. That's what it is. Just with you set out like all the locations, so like the board for the game. So you're just moving guys, the cards from location to location. So
it sounds really cool.
Was that Transformers game any good?
I was able to avoid getting into it because I knew it was going to be a bad idea for me.
The art looked really good on it. I remember that.
He mentioned it a bunch, got everyone's dick hard, then didn't do it.
Such a tease.
I will say
very on brand for Xtreme.
The only the last card game I got into had a much worse community than this one.
Oh,
My Little Pony?
Runner?
SRG.
I knew what he meant.
Yeah.
Would you say that the only reason, because I like the visual, like when I see a board game that has locations, it's fun to look at that. Is there any, I don't want to say a drawback, but do you lose any of that when it's just a card, you're not on a giant map?
A little bit. The art's great, but again, it's limited to the size of the card.
Yeah, instead of having like a adventure piece, you just have a card you're moving from.
Yeah, your character is just a small card.
Yeah.
But they did have released miniatures for it. But
yeah, they did.
But it's
just get like little standees to you know put the cards into. They stand up.
Oh, are you going to get those, Biran?
Maybe I'll hunt down the miniatures.
There you go.
They're pre-painted, so they don't look super great.
Pre-painted's great. I love that.
But
we just talked about that yesterday.
Yeah, that's right.
But they're like
Pre-paint or
Wizards of
die.
the Coast pre-paints.
I mean, pre-painted is just, I mean, you either like it or you don't like it. If you love to paint stuff, you don't like it. But if you just want to get to the tabletop, you know.
Well, there's pre-paints that look really, really good, and there's pre-paints that look like the D&D miniatures that came out.
Well, there's people playing Crisis Protocol with the original hero clicks right now.
Yeah. We don't speak to those people though.
You say at the very least, yank that base off.
Yeah.
At the very least.
Get rid of the clicky base.
Get rid of the dial. So it sounds pretty cool. I think it's something that what you own right now, Biran, like how much of that is the big picture? Like, is it half of what's available, a quarter?
I'd say it's less than a quarter.
Wow. So
There's like, I think there's 6 cycles or something close to that. So 6 cycles would mean a deluxe expansion, then the 6 card packs afterwards. So and I only have 1. So
they go through 2. Yeah, they go through 2 cycles a year, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember back in the Game of Thrones, but I think it was a big expansion and then a bunch of little ones.
That's kind of what this is.
Yeah.
So they do 2 a year, so probably about 6, and I have 1 of them.
Okay.
And I'll have 3 of the Investigator decks, and I have none of the standalones. But one of them sounds interesting since it's about fighting a giant gelatinous ball.
What do you mean by standalone? It's not connected to your story?
It's not connected to any other stories.
Do you still gain experience?
Yeah, hell yeah, you do. Who's going to stop me? Whether it says you do or not, I'm going to gain experience.
Well, yeah, no one. You're apparently the GM. Anyway, so. Well, you know what? Double it.
Yeah.
Just double it. Whatever you get, double
Just
it.
everyone put level 5 cards in their deck.
Say it was the gelatinous cube Lord.
It's like, where did you get that Thompson machine gun? Oh, I got it from a standalone. I ran solo when you were in here. Okay.
Yeah. I showed up an hour before you came and found all this cool shit.
Who's going to argue with them?
No, I'm like, all right.
We can't prove it.
And it's only going to help me
also,
because you could go fight the bad guys, and I can just hide and gather clues.
Well, who's going to argue because you're all on the same side?
Yeah.
You're like, you know what? Yeah, you did.
I have a ringer.
Yeah, I heard about that. You did. So very cool. I think the game seems to. Overall, I was looking at some stuff online to prepare for this, and it's got some pretty favorable reviews, and people seem to like this game, get into it, and some go all out, get everything, but it seems like not everybody has to.
You know, we could just play, if we just played like the 3 starter scenarios for the first mini campaign or whatever, that would have been money well spent.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun enough that just going through those 3 things, I never did anything else.
Yeah, and just switch, and you could switch off characters. It plays completely different depending on what character you play as.
Yeah.
Inevitably, you always buy more than what you actually play anyway.
In every game.
In every game.
Fail.
You buy all the expansions and you get through, the base game and maybe part of 1. But I hope that's not the case with this. I hope you get a lot of use out of all that. And that way, it just, like you said, Ryan, it kind of, the building up and getting connected to your character sort of scratches that other itch of there's a reason to keep playing. Yes, it's fun, but a lot of games are fun. Why should we keep playing this fun game? And the answer would be to get the Thompson machine gun one day.
Mm-hmm.
Thompson.
PSON.
Yeah. Thompson. I believe Technobowl got the spelling right. I think.
No, they got it wrong.
Yeah, I know. That's
but I got a free playmat out of it, so it was worth it.
Cool. That's getting a lot of use right now.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what mouse are you using to put on top of that?
I'm using a Logitech MX Master 3, but it's currently on a Guild Ball mat.
Oh, how many buttons on that mouse?
One, two. It's got rollers and buttons, and I don't know.
Okay, you don't have the side buttons for each like armor slot or a weapon slot.
No, I do that. That's on my Windows mouse.
Is that do you have a Razer?
Yeah. Oh no, this is a Corsair, but it's for the MMO mouse, so you have the hot buttons on the side.
Oh, there you go. Very nice. Anything else we should cover on this game?
No, I think we're ready for reviews.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Ryan, I know you've seen the show before. You were a fan of the previous Zlurpcast. We didn't know you around phase 1, but phase 2, you came in. You loved everything we did, and I appreciate that. And now in phase 3, you've joined the show. We give a 1 through 5 Zlurpy rating. Halves are okay. And while I appreciate you coming on and appreciate you giving a rating, just know that like when we have a Google sheet and it's going to have all the ratings going down, you're going to have like a little like bloop thing over there. It's like how Washington, D.C. is on Maryland on a map. It's like a little like bloop. And it's
Or
not
O'Hare
actually-
in Cook County where it goes.
Yeah. It's not going to count, so to speak, but it'll count in our hearts.
That's, you know what? That's the only place that matters.
And dare I say our heart of hearts as well.
That's that. I couldn't ask for anything more.
Let's begin with Biran as the most experienced Arkham Horror living card game player in the group. Biran, your score?
I'm going to go to a 4.5.
Woo! Dang.
I can't go to a 5 because I haven't played it enough.
Yeah. And
But-
you don't give out 4.5s lightly either.
No, I'm usually pretty low. Not as low as Brian, but I'm usually pretty low.
I
I
don't
really like games that much to start with.
He hates games. And he used to be a stats man. I bet the stats screen isn't even up on his computer right now. I bet it's not even up. He can't even enter this. I don't think you've given maybe 1 or 2 other 4.5s the
Yeah.
most.
Yeah. I think I gave, and I think one of them went to a Mantic game of all things.
Did you give Legion 4.5? Or
Yes.
4?
I think it was
Okay.
either a 4 or 4 point. I think Legion was high, Armada was high, Kings of War was
Armada.
high.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Relic
man.
Blade was high.
Relic Blade was high.
Boats. Fucking boats, man. Look
Mhm.
at you. So very great score from Biran. I see it on the screen now. It's making me thirsty. I love it. Second, I'm going to go to Ryan because this is his second phase in all of this. This guy likes this game so much, and he allegedly harbors no ill will to the man who brought it back just mere weeks after getting rid of all of his other stuff.
No, it was like 60 minutes.
Literally 60 minutes.
No.
Hours.
Yes.
Ah.
I did because he was doing a purge. And right as he did the purge, that was one of the first things to go, was it not? That someone
Yes, it was.
claimed? Yeah. So I got your Mice and Mystics, but I missed out on Elder Sign.
What did you
Eldritch.
learn anything about purging and whether you should do it or not do it, Ryan?
I am still in the middle of it. So if anyone wants anything, you let me know. Because I got stuff in my house and I have no room for it sitting on the
You
floor.
got any Mantic stuff?
I actually usually throw that right in the trash.
You
Well,
know what?
I'm
No, I
asking
have, yes, I have, what's it called? The Walking Dead game.
Oh, I'm asking for a friend, but that friend doesn't exist.
You're saying you don't have a friend?
They're all here. So I don't know. It's up for grabs, you guys. Walking Dead. I think he's got possibly a Negan bad on shoulder available.
I don't know if I don't think I have that one.
That's the only figure I do have. That's why
I
I
think
know that one.
I have some Walking Dead stuff. I don't know if I threw it in the trash or not.
You know what? I would like to do a Walking Dead review because I've played it a good amount of times. I'm happy.
Yeah, I
It's
think
it's really good.
But I think I might have a neoprene mat for it that I could use for other stuff.
Ryan, would you want to come back to do Walking Dead with us?
Sure.
Okay, cool. Biran
Yeah,
is
it's a fun game.
producer as well. You can set that up one day. What is your score? How many Slurpees will you give this game, Ryan?
I will also go with 4.5.
Whoa, heavy hitters.
It needs there's always you don't give like a perfect score because then you could always be a little bit better, but right now as it stands it's a 4.5.
In 3 weeks, it'll go down to a 2, but this is where it stands now.
Well, we caught you in a very excitable moment of this game at this moment in time. So, yeah, but that's what it is.
And it's
We
also
are
great to
gonna
just it's also great to just go to the game store and play a game with your friends. I think that's goosing the score a little bit because of the lockdowns and everything, and it's just fun to get to the store and play.
That could be part of it, but also, to be fair to Ryan's point earlier, there's something to be said for open up a box and play and not do the whole assembly, paint. There's just something
Special order battle foam.
Right. I want to play a game. This is one of the easiest games to get into. I mean, outside of waiting for a reprint, but essentially it's a very easy game to jump into.
Yeah, the base set can be bought at any Barnes and Noble, but I prefer to get it at Grognard Games.
Yeah. Grognard will be around longer than Barnes and Noble.
Probably.
I think so. Let's go over to Mike Valdric Muller.
I'll go to 4. Again, I haven't. I don't have like the rule book or anything like that. So,
well, you do.
The
it's
deck
sealed in a
building's
box
gonna
in
be
your
pretty
trunk.
quick. But for me, because I won't like pour over it, but it's a decent game. It's a solid game. So
you do have the rule book, Mike. It's in a sealed box in your trunk.
I do, and I'm going to give it to you on Friday. So,
but I don't need an extra rule book, so you can have the rule books.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Is this a typical Fantasy Flight where they put the PDF online anyway?
Probably.
Yep.
And I know each card pack has a QR code, and you could scan it, and it tells you what's in the pack.
Oh, really?
That's cool.
Right.
Mike, would you ever play this game solo, Mike? I doubt you would, because I don't see you as a solo player.
If it was on a tablet, he probably would have bet.
Yeah, for sure.
Right, you play the games that that you can on the train and whatnot. But this one, would you ever do this one or no?
Maybe, but I don't do a lot of solo gaming.
He's not a loser.
Because I don't have a table at the house.
Hey, you're friends with every person that has ever played a game on a tabletop somewhere in the world. There's, across the globe, everyone's 1 degree away from knowing you. So, all right, just checking.
I bet if I'm going to the national parks this summer, I bet if I go up to a picnic table that has a board game, and I'm like, do you know Mike Muller? Go, yeah.
And you might get that in a different way that you don't expect.
Right.
Like Mike knows, I sold a guy years ago 40K stuff in the streets of Woodfield parking lot. He's like, Professor Muller? I'm like, oh shit.
That part of the Venn diagram of Mike.
Like the professor, it's like, okay, we're on a different level now, a group of acquaintances.
Do you know Cactus Sack in real life?
Right. Do you know Cactus Sack? I've been playing and winning tournaments. Yeah, I might be able to get you his autograph. Like, oh shit.
Fair warning, he's not a 13-year-old girl.
Right. Yeah, chasing him around Gen Con. You think Sack's going to show up? I need to get him for the collection.
For his
Xtreme, would you like to go next?
Sure. I'm going to give it a 3.5. It's not really the kind of game I'd get into, but it does sound like a lot of fun. If I had a group of people playing it, I could definitely see myself.
To Schomburg 4.
Yeah, from Xtreme, a 3.5 is nothing to shake a stick at, That's an expression. I'm going to bring everybody back down to reality and give it a 3. And I haven't played the game, so why would I give it a 3.5? 3 is not bad, but I haven't played. And someone's got to bring down these 4.5s floating around right now.
Well, mine doesn't count except for in your heart.
Thank you for not only remembering it, but also being okay with it.
Like I said, that's all I can ask.
Our last guest, I don't think he liked it as Age of Sigmar rated the account, which why would it? He gave it a 7. You know what I mean?
A 7 out of what? 5?
Yeah. Yes.
No, I think it was a 4.5, but it was, a little inflated.
If he bought, say, 10 T-shirts, it might count.
Yeah. I think, if you're brought into this show to talk about one game, it's assumed that you love that game. So there is something to be said for, it's not personal, but your rating is also bullshit for many reasons. Just a thought. Although, Biran, you also equaled his score. So
you gave it a 7 out of 5?
I did.
Well, 7 out of 10? No,
because I rate in hexadecimal format.
Yeah, hexadecimal works as well. I accept ASCII porn as well, if you have any of that.
So that gives us a total of 3.75.
Is it up there for me?
It's right here.
Oh, there it is.
Yep.
I hope one day when we get to our episode 100 and we will review our reviews once again, maybe I get a couple games in. I'd love to see that score increase and, bump it up a bit.
Do you think that our next overview episode will be post IRL Adepticon?
Maybe.
Yeah, I think it will be.
Yeah. Maybe we should do it at Adepticon.
There we go. That'd be kind of boring to be at Adepticon and just go over a spreadsheet, though.
I mean, to be fair, what do you normally do at Adepticon besides sit around and make fun of people?
But that's fun.
Yeah, I know. But hanging out with us isn't fun.
Yeah. Well, I'm making fun of people while hanging out.
If somebody walks by in the middle of the show, you have everyone, I'm speaking for everyone's here, permission to stop, make fun, and then return back to where we were.
You add another column to the spreadsheet for kilt sightings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Utility kilts.
You can tie everything together.
Yeah. There's a lot of columns you could add too.
That's true.
A lot of columns.
You're limited only by your imagination.
Electric oboe sightings.
How many butt cracks I see exposed?
That's got to be a long
tables.
spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because if you go to that Sanford and Son, yeah, Sanford and Son, sitting on the ground, box of garbage opened. I mean, it's like 6-inch crack.
It's usually
Easy.
a younger, overweight kid pouring over broken bits of towel.
Right. Trying to find some rail guns by themselves.
Yes. I have a sweaty $5 bill in my shoe. What can this get me?
Everything. That whole bin.
Make an offer, whatever you want. Like, I just want the tub that the bits are in. Can you give me the tub? No, that's not for sale.
Sanford and Son, everything is for sale.
Is that? I like to think so. Even family members possibly.
I like to see how mad Todd is that they get to stay open 24/7 and he doesn't.
Yeah. Well, that's a lobby loophole right there, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is secretly the best retail location.
How much? Not for Sanford, but for Son. I just want Son. Don't want Sanford. Ryan, thanks for coming on this episode. Walking Dead will be great one day. And I bet there's plenty of episodes, if you're willing, that you can join us for. Gaming Regrets Part 2 would be great. But I think it's fun to have some guests on, especially ones that have, the same kind of experience with a lot of these same games. So thank you
very much for having me. I really appreciate it. I had a lot of fun. I was honored to be asked.
Don't be too honored. We had Todd on twice.
Yeah. What?
Well, thanks for ruining it.
Owning a game shop in Battletech.
No, and
Oh yeah.
we did have Todd on twice, but that's it.
Forever, yes.
I think that's it.
You had
What
enough
else?
of Todd?
Well, we did one about his store, free publicity, one about a game we're never going to play. Maybe a Dust episode. I don't know. Like there's not a lot of games that we need Todd for.
That's
So
fair enough.
Yeah,
Maybe-
you're different, Ryan, because you
Yeah.
play everything and you buy everything.
You're
And
what we call
that.
You're what we call a game slut.
Yeah.
That's I will wear that with honor. I
Not
remember,
as much as Scott Prime, who's the king of the game sluts.
Yeah, Scott plays a lot, but Ryan, with the Kickstarters too. I mean, don't underestimate the looseness of his mangina. You know what I mean?
I've dialed back the Kickstarters quite a bit.
Sure, you have.
I still have a ton of stuff coming, but
Are you like? What about things that you backed a year ago and you're still waiting on right now?
I get those backer emails and I regret every single one of them.
Don't read those emails. That's stuff.
I don't. It's just enough that they're in my inbox, and I'm just like, what was I thinking? I don't have any place to put it. And it's like, they're games I like. I like all these games.
I backed and rescinded Return to Dark Tower, and I still get emails from them.
Yeah, I do too.
Because you guys are still on the list.
Yeah.
Did you back that Cyberpunk game, Biran?
No.
The miniatures one? Yeah. I saw it. It looked cool, but I'm like, I'm not going to.
It is so rare that I don't regret a Kickstarter that I try to not do any of them.
Yeah.
Railroad Ink was pretty awesome.
Yep, and that was a cheap one. That was like $20, and you got more than you thought you were going to get.
I'm now where if I see a Kickstarter that's really cool, I'm going to look at the lowest end first,
Mhm.
just to see, $10, rule book, whatever. That makes me feel a little bit better about all of it. Because then I'll get it from a store later on if I really want to.
My threshold is $30. If something looks interesting and it all fits in a single box for $30, then I'll get it.
Yeah. So you don't say, what's the sweet spot again?
What's the $120 sweet spot?
Right. What's the 150?
No, because I have such a, or I historically had such a, we'll call it a fear of missing out on this stuff.
Yeah.
I would always then go crazy. I would historically just go and do like the $10 thing and then just go berserk in the pledge manager. But hopefully going forward that won't happen.
And that's what they want you to do, because then they don't have to give as much money to Kickstarter.
Yeah. Right. They want you to spend it, but there's good and bad. You want to have the total huge because they might leverage that for something else.
Right.
Like
if
look
they're
how
looking
much
for
we
more
made.
investors. Yeah.
But also, of course, they would love direct customers later on. Ryan, was there one Kickstarter before we go that made you the way you are now?
No, it wasn't even Kickstarters. I was late to start backing Kickstarters. I just bought lots of stuff. I like rule books. I like reading.
Yeah, me too.
I like reading rule books and learning new games. And so no, it's just, there's always just more stuff that I'm interested in than anyone could really play.
Mine was Warpath.
Warpath?
Warpath is my regret. That's my biggest regret.
So Warpath alone wasn't enough for you to throw in the towel?
Oh, no.
It was for me.
No, not at all. No, for me, my moment for me that shifted is when my Bloodborne board game stuff showed up and I had gone all in. And it seemed like a good idea at the time. And then the stack was almost as tall as I was.
Yeah.
And I realized that because last year I just kept buying stuff. I didn't stop buying stuff.
Right.
So I wanted to support Todd and stuff kept getting released. So I just kept buying stuff. And I have like stacks of unassembled models all over the place. But the Bloodborne one was like, oh my God, I have nowhere to put this.
Yeah. Well, I hope Todd's watching and appreciates the sacrifices you've made.
The sacrifice my basement's made.
That as well. So
it's not me. I don't care.
Thank you for watching. Follow Zlurpcast on all the social medias. Join Zlurp Nation. Bonus content sent to your inbox. Zlurpcast Discussion is a Facebook group. And buy a shirt. Buy a sticker. Buy a mat to step on out of the shower. Yes, those exist as well.
A shower mat or a smat, if you will.
Or smat, if it's a snow mat and a shirt. If it's a snow mat shirt, Biran, is it a smirt?
It's a smat smirt.
Oh, it's smat smirt.
Yep.
Okay. See, I learned something new. You can find all that at zlurpcast.net. We make like 28 cents on a shirt. So pretty great fucking deal. You should do that. More importantly, you wear it to a con, you might get your dick sucked.
Oh, you will.
Oh, you will. Biran, that's a proposal. Yeah, that right there is a commitment. So that's about it. Wave bye, everyone. Shoes on, network.
Zlurpcast! Brought to you by McMurdy's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. I'm loathing it.